You are an Ironman!
If you've listened to the previous episodes, you'll be well aware that a lot of the athletes discussed future events that they were planning to compete in and that they had been training for at the time that their podcasts were originally recorded. In this episode, I've decided to re-link in with those athletes to find out how they got on. The first man to go back to the future is Keith Clarke. Keith, you're very welcome back on the podcast. You are back to the future, as it were. I previously spoke to you a number of months ago, and I was very excited and enthralled as to how the Celtman Triathlon worked out for you. So, how did you get on? Basically, I mentioned to find out.
Good man, Mickey. Yeah, we got it finished. Epic race, epic event. Definitely recommend to any future athletes that want to go to it.
What was your swim like? Because I know at the time you were talking about the temperature of the water and the jellyfish and all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
Was it as difficult as you thought?
No, it just wasn't as grim as I had anticipated. Because I'd done a right bit of swimming up at Splash and Moneymore, and I've been in the cold water at fair health, so all nerve primed up. Bit of excitement. There's a real good buzz about the start line. Everybody has to take a bus round to the start, and they bus you around the coast road, and then you swim back to the bike. So you're swimming across the sea bay as such, and the start line, everybody's in a big field, loads of midgies eating at you, and you have about 10 minutes to get acclimatised to the water if you want to get in or not. And then they light the Celtman, the big sign behind you. They come out with like big lumps of 2x4 timber all on fire, and they light the Celtman sign behind you, and then they line everybody up in front of it for the team photo for the year as such. And then you get down into the water, and I didn't get into the water till about 3 or 4 minutes to go. There was some people getting in, some people getting out, but I just got in and treaded a bit of water until the gun went. Just about it goes at exactly 5 o'clock in the morning, and the sun was just coming out behind the mountains at the far side of the bay, and it was pretty surreal swim now. So it was.
You got through the swim all right then, unscathed and out on the far side?
Got out the other side. I think it was an hour and 7 minutes. You go around like an island, and then you're sighting. They have cauldrons lit at the far side, so you're sort of sighting off the fire and the wee white cottages at the far side of the loch. And then you can see all the support crew. They're all wearing like pink Celtman t-shirts, so that you're sort of in line of sight with it. And then Keith Murphy is the crew member, so you're only allowed one crew in transition, and he gives you a hand out and start getting the wetsuit off. And we actually had a 2-litre carton of milk full of warm water to pour over me, till 1 to warm me up and 2 to wash the salt water off me, so I wasn't chafing on the bike. But because it was nice and cozy in the thermal wetsuit, whenever he poured the water over me, it felt very cold. It actually felt worse than getting into the water, so I had to chase him a wee bit and get dried off. And then it was quite funny because I think Lance was videoing it at the time, and it looked like I sort of punched him in the mouth to get him out of the road, but that was quite funny.
The boy only trying to help you out, like get a box.
He was only trying to help me out, but it kind of backfired. But good to get the salt water washed off, and then got on done a full change of clothes under the dry robe and threw the leg over the bike after the mount line, and you're straight up into a wee hill. So just made sure the bike was in first gear as such, and out onto the bike, and you're climbing for about the first hour on just wee tiny roads, and the scenery was absolutely stunning on the way out. And then all the crew, they're all trying to catch up with their competitor, so there's quite hectic at the start for the first hour because loads of bikes passing. I was passing bikes, loads of crew members in their vehicles. But once it's going after about the first hour and you're out onto like a main road, and then it sort of thins out a wee bit. So quite exciting at the start. It just wouldn't be for everybody, but I quite enjoyed it. A bit of hustle and bustle and braking and then behind cars and passing cars and stuff just to get into the flow of things.
So how did the actual cycle go then? Just how long did it take you, and was there like really difficult aspects to it, or?
The cycle went good. I started off with like base layer, cycling top, cycling shorts, overshoes because you're getting onto the bike at 6 o'clock in the morning or so. So it was still not cold but fresh enough. And then within the first hour, started de-robe a wee bit. And then my crew members, they were past me in the van, so they would pass you, give you a do to the horn. I'd give them thumbs up, and then they would pull in up the road in a lay-by whenever they got the chance. And yeah, just tipped away. The cycle is 120 miles, and there's about 7,700 feet of climbing in it. So lumpy enough, as the man says.
It's definitely lumpy.
Yeah.
We were sort of talking about the with the roads being that narrow, and the elevation. Were the road surfaces pretty good then? Were they, or what do you think of that?
After that first hour, you're kind of out on that NC 500, the main road, and then you start picking up a few wee towns. No, they're fairly good roads, kind of like what I would say like Dungannon Knocknacloy Road at home here. They're fairly decent roads, a couple of big main open roads, not too much traffic at that time in the morning. Obviously, a lot of cyclists just obviously on the race, but no, the odd pothole here and there. But like it's not like Lanzarote or anything. It's not smooth tarmac. It's just Scottish roads as such. But no, the cycle went well. I was on the bike for 7 hours 53 minutes, so it was, and I think I had 6.5 minutes of stop time between just stopping to take the overshoes off, take the base layer off because it was getting too warm midday. But the bike is just kind of relentless. It just keeps going on and on and on. Now there was one point in it about maybe 80 or 90 mile in. There wasn't many in front or there wasn't many behind. You were kind of cycling on your own for a couple of hours. Maybe just the odd bike passing, somebody on a TT bike that was catching you up, you know. But no, the cycle was good.
And your nutrition and everything like that all went according to plan?
Yeah, like I say, the boys that was crewing for me all knew the crack. So literally just fire one bottle of hydration out, reload it with another bottle of Tailwind, maybe grab a Bray Hours Bop on the way past and into the top bag on the bike, one into your back pocket, and just rock on and just a timer on the bike every 20 minutes, take a wee drink, take a wee bite to eat, and stomach stayed good, no punctures, no mechanicals. The wind wasn't savage compared to what other years, so I got it kind of good that way. No headwind, well, a wee bit of headwind, but no tailwind as such on the actual bike, you know. But no, I was happy enough with the bike.
Good stuff. So how did you pan out then? Because there was a cut-off time, wasn't there? You had to have your swim, your bike, and then a portion of the run done within a certain time frame. How did that work out?
Yes, so there's 2 t-shirts for doing that race. One for the high course and one for the blue high course, and the white is the low course. The high course is just obviously on up the top of the mountain, and the lower course runs around like the edge, the skirts around the bottom of the mountain, or halfway up the mountain actually it is. So whenever I came in off the bike, I was sort of budgeting. I needed 2 hours to do the first bit of the run to make the cutoff for the blue t-shirt. And I had about an hour and 35 minutes to do it in, so I knew it was going to be a tight push. But I headed off with anticipation of trying to make the blue t-shirt cutoff. I was fairly confident I would make the finish line no matter what, but I would have liked the blue t-shirt. So headed off, but not to make any excuses, but it had rained for about 5 days before the event had started, and the footing underground was proper BST, Spartan, off-road, through the gutters. It was like there was no point in trying to keep your feet clean. It was like up to your knees in places. And I thought, this is tough going. And I knew by the location of the mountain that I needed to get to, we were still running away from the transition point. And I thought, this is going to be tight. So kept the head down, kept motoring on, and started to reel in a few people. There was nobody past me on the run, which I was happy with. but I caught a few people. There was a lad in front of me, and I asked him, had he done the race before? And he said he had. And then I asked him, did he get the blue T-shirt? And he says he did. And I was like, well, what way do you think we're on for this year's course? And he's like, to be honest, he says, I don't think we're going to make it for the blue cut-off. So at that stage, the wind was sort of knocked down on me a wee bit, and I thought, flip, we're going to be about 20 minutes of difference here. And I knew I couldn't make it up within the short space of time then. So kept motoring on as best I could. And then Keith Murphy, he was crewing for me. He had to do the last bit of the run with me. But fair play to him, he stuck the run shoes on early, and he ran and caught me up. And we nearly done all of the run together then, which was pretty good. So still headed for T2. You still had to go till T2 no matter what. And then the heavens opened for about 40 minutes, and it got fierce cold, fierce wet, and we had to put on all our mandatory kit till at the check for you before you're allowed into the mountains. So it was handy enough for them to check because we were wearing it all, never mind in the rucksack, whenever you get for the marshals. And they checked everything, and then they had said that they hadn't made the cut-off for the blue T-shirt. You're obviously still allowed to go on and finish, and you still have to go up the mountain, but just not as high as the other competitors in front. So then at that stage, we're already on the course for about 12 hours, and we just kind of enjoyed it then, and took a lot of photographs. We had the crack, and got tipping around, talked to the marshals, talked to everybody, and at that stage the sun was out, and we're getting sunburnt. So de-rope again, all the wet gear into the back of the rucksack, and tipped around, and got in and got to the finish line in 15 hours and 16 minutes. So we did.
Brilliant.
So, yeah, well chuffed to get finished. The scenery and all stunning. Whenever you come out of the mountains, you have about a 2 or 3k run on the coastal road up to the finish line. And at that time of the evening, it was absolutely stunning. So, probably lost about 10 minutes looking around us at that stage, but it was well worth it.
Once the blue T-shirt had eluded you, then you were more relaxed and you were able to take in the scenery and kind of maybe take a wee bit of the pressure off in some ways.
Oh, it definitely did. I think it made for a more enjoyable race rather than. But like, don't get me wrong, I still would have liked the blue T-shirt, but still happy enough to finish, and you're obviously still a finisher, and you get the warm welcome at the finish line as long as everybody else. But no, I kind of enjoyed it a wee bit more. I think it was the last 2 or 3, 4 hours was a bit more relaxed after we knew. So
no, well done, Keith. It's a savage event, and I was well curious about whether or not or how you got on, and I did see some of the photographs on Facebook and on Instagram and that, so it looked great.
The lads had the wee gimbal thing, and they were doing videos and all beside me, but about 2 days after I got home then, I got the Facebook hacked, so it did. So it took me a week or two to get rocking and rolling again with the Facebook, so I had to start a new page again, so no, that's why I'm only really getting a good catch up with you here now as well.
Aye. So it is. And you get as the new Facebook page all up and running again now, is it?
It is. I had to start again. No DACA Gears page as such, so just the Keith Clarke page. But in fact, just whenever we were talking about it, something happened last night again, and they shut me down there again. So I had to do like a reboot with it. So it'll hopefully be going. They give you 24 hours to get going again here. So bit of a nuisance for the hackers, but hey ho.
All right. Well, sure. Look, I'll put a link to your Instagram. Your Instagram account is up and going, and it's working well.
Yeah. So far, so
I'll
good.
Put a wee link. I'll put a wee link in the description so people can get in touch with you if they're looking some information or a bit of coaching or whatever.
Super job, yes. But I definitely recommend the mates. Get your name in the ballot for it. It's definitely worthwhile doing.
One final question. The last time I spoke to you, you had said that you weren't going to do any more triathlons, with the exception of the Celtman, because it was one of these bucket lists. But now that you've done the Celtman, and because you missed out on the blue T-shirt, are you tempted to throw your name back in the hat to go after that blue T-shirt, or are you happy enough that you've ticked the box?
No. While happy that I've ticked the box, definitely am. No, a few more things in the pipeline. No real triathlons on the go, although I was out at Eskerlock last weekend. Just giving them a bit of hand after they had done the Tri-Tyrone, and there was a few of them doing triathlon, just like a wee club in-house one, and I thought, you know what, a wee Olympic or sprint or half iron would be nice, just no pressure and tip away. So never say never, but no more name in the ballot as such.
Good enough. You've nothing else to prove anyway, Keith. You've been there, done
Ah,
that multiple times.
yeah, around the block a few
Um,
times.
absolutely. Keith, thank you very much for sharing your story, and it's
No,
great
no,
to link in with you and get that wee
no
update.
bother.
Much
Mickey at
appreciated.
all. No bother.
Look after yourself and take care.
Thanking you very much and yourself.
All right, the next man that's going back to the future is Uma's very own Doc Brown, aka Uma's only double Ironman, Shane McGale.
Oh, we might have to change that, Mickey, to almost first double Airman after the weekend.
Well, we'll have to wait and see about that one. That's potentially another podcast in its own right.
Oh, that would be big time.
Hey, the last time you and I spoke was way back at the beginning of the year. You were looking forward to going to Lanzarote. It was a kind of a mixed bag for you because you were kind of hemming and hawing about whether you would do it, whether you wouldn't do it. There was a bit of a debate on whether you
I
would
could
get
do it.
round it, whether you could do it. Were you going to be Uma's very first man to not do it 5 times in a row? I think was one of the things that you said.
Four times.
Was it I? So I suppose the big question is, how did you get on in Lanzarote, Shane?
You know what? Hey, it's hard to remember it's that far gone because you sort of go towards the future all the time. But it was a good race again. Now, in fairness, probably struggled a wee bit towards the end of it, but I just kept plugging on and got to the finish line eventually. Just kept putting one foot in front of the other. Hey, and I suppose this time around I sort of knew that I was going to get off the bike. I just took my time, got the nutrition right, but it still was a very, very, very long day.
It
Very
always
long day.
is. It always is a long day.
Mm.
You were talking about this time you were gonna go out that wee bit earlier. Did you find that helped
Aye,
this
well, it
time?
probably made a difference. Made you chill out a wee bit more, kind of, And I suppose Lanzarote for me is a race that it's wild crack. Like I had a couple of guys with me that done like Eddie done it for the first time, and a guy from Strabane Tri Club done it for the first time, John Gallagher. Like, and them boys are going back next year. That was that good. So like it's the same even with you that interview the other day with Carl, and he brought back memories about me and him meeting each other in the run course, and I totally forgot about that. Totally forgot about it. And then whenever I remember that now, like the squad of them out, that's what it's all about. Hey, the camaraderie, the bit of crack, the encouragement. You know, it's like what you're doing now, these interviews. Like that's bound to encourage other people to try things that they think they can't do.
Yeah, well,
And
I
I
hope
suppose
so.
that's, and that you take even the locker races we've done personally since that last time that we've met each other in the course. There's been a lot of encouragement to get to the finish line.
Absolutely, that's what it's all
And
about.
I got that in Lanzarote. I remember I was going out on my last lap of the run, and I was running because the crowd was there, making it look good, letting on I was able to do it. Me fucking hurting like, and there was a couple of guys, especially the likes of Owen Martin from up in Vaughan Two Tri Club, and them boys were walking back, and they shouted over to you, "Fair play to you, McGale." But them boys were been in town, showered up, out for feed, and were walking back to the apartment. They were finished hours ahead of me, like, but
Uh-huh.
it's not all about the people who finish at the front. The people at the end are as important as the people at the front at the start of the race. Or who
Well,
finished first. But
absolutely.
I hung out the course for a while, thinking there was going to be fireworks. Me finishing last, and I was lying out the course and booking poor Eddie Malloy. Eddie came running out. I'd say Eddie ran out a good 5k, and he says to me, "What the fuck, sir?" He says, "You're not going to finish in time," but he forgot that we had started 10 minutes after the swim, the sort of the curtail of the swim, like. And I says, "No, piles of time," and he thought I was going to miss the cutoff. And I just got in with about, what was it, 10 or 15 minutes to go, like. So I says, "Eddie, don't panic," and he kept saying to me, "Come on, run, run," and I was walking and running and walking and running, and he was panicking, like. So it just shows you too, someone in your own club was home, got changed, had a Chinese, and come out the road to meet me. You couldn't
Came
beat that.
came back on the course to
Came
do
back on the course,
what
came right out, him in the shorts and the t-shirt, and back out again, no bother them.
I think people enjoy the banter with you, Shane, and they enjoy rallying around you and giving you that support. because you'd be the first man to do that for everybody else.
Of course, oh, well, look, that's what it's all about. If you can't help somebody else out, sure, you're no good to yourself, no matter what. Like,
That's
it's
exactly it.
it's not a selfish sport in my eyes. Honey, you need to, like, everybody gives you tips or whatever the crack is, like, and sure, that's all counts. Like,
Tell me this: was there anything particularly different or challenging about the race this year, or would it be fair to say that the
mm.
weather and the triathlon gods kind of played ball for
Well,
everybody this year?
we probably had really good weather this year. There wasn't much wind in the bike, but one thing that I enjoyed this year over this last couple of years was the swim was a lot easier. I really enjoyed the swim. Me and Aoife sort of started beside each other, and we come out of the water on the first lap together. We were swimming alongside each other. We swam the second lap basically beside each other. So I think having someone beside you and every time you went for a breath, you knew that person was there, and we sort of helped each other along. So that sort of helped. And then when the swim's easier, you get on the bike, you don't be as tired. But don't get me wrong, like Lanzarote bike course is a fucking demon. Hey? It's a disaster. It would kill a horse. But I'm going back next year, no?
I
Booked
see
and
that.
all.
I you've
Booked
it
and all.
booked, anyway.
You're coming too, you not?
Well, I'm hoping to. I'm hoping
Good,
to.
good, 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 good.
I've a few other bits and bobs to get done in the meantime. Brownie
Yeah.
points have to be chalked up. You know
Oh no,
yourself.
you might as well go and do it now, Mickey, before you're too old.
Hi, what about the bike course this time round? Anything?
It was exact same again. Well, I suppose obviously I didn't finish it this last 3 years, so I didn't get to do the last part of it. But I'll tell you, the Lanzarote bike course years ago used to be hard, but the finish of it was sort of easy. Whereas now, the end of it is nearly harder than the start of it. So it
Right.
is a very, very hard bike course from start to finish. And anybody will tell you that, even the guys that are good bikers. And then when you get on to the run, like, sure, look, it's good crack, and there's plenty of people out to cheer you on and all, like. But still, it was a good race this year now, in fairness. And I kept saying to myself, that'll do me. But have to go back. Have to go
Um,
back.
you're going back again for how many? How many times will you?
This will be number 14. And if everything goes according to plan, it'll be hopefully 10 of them done.
That's
And then
unbelievable. Some goal.
I've got myself into a wild predicament.
What's the predicament?
The predicament is, the way we've got a young lad in the club, and his old fella's going on to do a double Ironman this weekend. We've got young Michael.
Uh-huh.
Well, young Michael, and I made him a promise. I says, Michael, the way, like, he's done 2 triathlons now so far, and he's come third in his first one and fourth in his second one.
Uh-huh.
And he's turning 8 years of age. And I made Michael a promise. I says, Michael, when you're 18 years of age, I will be 65. And I says, me and you's going to Ironman Lanzarote, and I'm buying him his entry. And I
That's
says, what's
something.
going to happen is I'm going to qualify in the over 65s for Kona, and you're going to qualify in the over 18 to 24 age group for Kona. And we're going to Kona together. See, you've heard that here first.
That's Back to the Future
Oh, fuck that.
20. That's some sequel. I don't know if I'll still be going by that stage,
Well,
but
I promised that lad that me and him's going to Lanzarote for his 18th. So I'll have to stick by my words on that.
no, that's unreal. What's it next for you in the pipeline? I know you're always on early. Obviously, you're doing
Next,
Lanzarote
well,
again.
I missed the race there last weekend. I was sick last weekend, but I'm going to. There's quite a few of us going down to that Black Sod down in Belmullet next Saturday week.
Uh-huh.
So we're like, I was going to go and do a double this weekend, but I just said I'll leave it to Damien O'Hagan. I've
You
done it
just
once. I don't want to be doing it again, like. And then
it's
after that, that's the season over. Then it's Dublin Marathon after that, Kirk.
yep. And then back on the island of Lanzarote
Lanzarote
then in.
in March for the training camp, the club training camp. Back in March. I'm going to Lanzarote in December to run the marathon, right enough. Everything
Oh
going according to
yes,
plan.
that's right.
I'm going over there over in December to run the marathon. Everything going according to plan, only like. But hopefully get a wee rattle at it next year. We're all going to Copenhagen next year. So hopefully next year I plan to do Lanzarote, Copenhagen, and maybe Hamburg. And if not Hamburg, I will leave it to the end of the year and try to go to Italy.
Right.
That's good.
I'm just back from a family holiday there in Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
And you did the Ironman out in Portugal last year, wasn't it?
Cascais, yeah, this time last year.
What sort of a race is it? Is it worth a man thinking about?
Aye, it was okay. The bike course was a wee bit bitty. No, I'll tell you, Mickey, you've done a hard Ironman Cork, but it was very supportive. The one you need to do next is Lanzarote. Forget about the rest of them.
I
That's the
think
daddy.
so.
That's the daddy.
I think so. It's if you're going to do one, you might as well go for that one,
And
eh?
so you've already cycled out there, so you know the crack.
Oh, I have cycled out there, yeah, yeah, and
You
I've
know the
plenty of
crack.
time between now and
Yeah.
then to build the old legs up.
Oh,
But
what? And so you're flying at the minute, man. Should look at the half Ironman you had down in Esco. You were flying.
I was happy with that.
No,
It's all
you finished it very strong now.
I paced it well,
Mm-hmm.
and got through it the way I planned. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm learning off everybody that I'm listening to and chatting
Yep.
to on the podcast, and everybody in
Yeah.
the club, and people like yourself that are sharing the tips.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's all about. So we'll
Yeah.
just keep on chipping away, as the man says.
Only tip I could give you at the minute: don't stand up in a canoe because you'll probably fall out of it.
I'll remember that one if I sign up for this Fair Mana.
Aye, for a minute.
Uh, you've never dabbled in any of those
No,
sort
I
of
didn't.
adventure
No, well,
races?
I done the race Donegal about what 8 or 9 years ago. Done it,
Uh-huh.
250 kilometers. That's the only everything I've ever done like that. 250 kilometers in 24 hours. I done it years ago.
Yeah.
So that was only the only dabbling I had of that kind of race. Like that kind of thing would kill you. But not for mana. Sounds good. I'd love to have a go at it, but just it's not as easy to get off on a Saturday here. So you have to pick and choose the races.
I know, right?
Wouldn't mind doing that old gravel grinder right enough now. A lot of boys in the club are going to that.
Yeah, I'm doing it myself. It's
That's good.
a tight day in the saddle. It's a lot of
Uh,
elevation on it,
is
over
there
rough ground.
I had that Donegal 3/4 marathon the day after, so I don't know how the two would fall together for me.
Aye, yeah,
And
yeah.
just too many birthdays, Mickey. There, the birthday passed the two of us there last week or 2 weeks ago.
That's right. Yep, I know, I
Makes a
know.
big difference too.
Well, here,
You're
Shane, you've put Lanzarote to bed there this year. You've regained your mojo, and you've come out on top. And I'm hoping that you're going to do that again next year.
by the skin of my teeth.
Well, it all counts.
Mm.
I would say you paced it well, you timed it well.
Just
You,
to get over it no more.
but that's what it's
It's a
all
long
about.
day out in the bike. If you're out for 8.5 hours, hey, whatever it was, I couldn't even tell you what my finishing time was. It was under 17 hours, just to no more. But a finish is a finish.
If
That's
I
all
go
that
to
counts.
Lanzarote, I'll be looking just to finish. I'll not be interested in the time.
Maybe you probably could surprise yourself because you're going well on the bike,
Well, I don't know.
Bike's
I
a
don't
big
know.
part of it,
Sure, we'll see what happens.
You're going on him again. We'll put your name down in the bus.
Well, you can pencil me in. I wouldn't
Pencil,
just
but the
go over it
pencil you
on
always,
Vero yet.
if you put it down in the pencil, you can always rub it out, Mickey. That's no good. We need to put it down in pen. Black ink, black ink.
I don't know how many brownie points I need to be chalking up before I can hit the missus with
Get, what you do
an
is,
entry
Mickey,
for Ironman and everything that
what you do
goes
is
with
now, Mickey, would you go to the shop and get one of them old tins? You know them old tins with like Queen Elizabeth or something on it, and you put a fiver or a tenner in it every week, and that's your spending money.
it.
That'll pay for the Chinese when we're finished.
Good enough.
And
Good enough.
Route 66.
That sounds like a plan.
The funny there's this year we all went to the pub and very little of us took any drink. It's all changed.
Oh, aye.
I seen us going to Lanzarote and afterwards a squad of us going for drink. This year, very little boys were taking drink. It all changed, eh?
No, you can't. If you wanna get the best out of yourself, you're
You just
better.
need to quit the pints, like.
Aye,
No
that's
good,
it.
no good, no good.
Well, Shane, thanks very much for coming back to the future. No
No
doubt,
bother.
if there's going to be a Back to the Future 2 at some point, I would say you'd be a prime candidate, given that you never stop, you never let up, you're jumping from one event to the next.
Sure, like yourself too, kiddo.
Aye, sure, that's
Keeps
it.
us out of badness.
That's it. Well, here, look after yourself.
No
Keep
bother, Mick.
keep training hard, and I'll see you at the next event.
No bother, Mick. Watch yourself.
Cheers, Shane.
Good luck, Cup. Take her easy.
So our next person to go back to the future is the one and only Tim Shiels. Tim, you're very welcome back onto the podcast.
Thank you very much. I'm hesitant. I almost sang Chesney Hawks there. Anyone of a certain age will know exactly what I mean by that.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Tim, the last time we spoke, you were talking about an opportunity for you to once again don the green shirt and represent your country at an international masters athletics event in Gothumberg.
Correct.
At that time, you were sort of undecided as to whether or not you were going to be able to make it due to a number of reasons. So I suppose the burning question is, did you make it, and how did it all pan out?
I went to Gothumberg.
Brilliant.
I put on the green vest in a very proud and beautiful and wonderful way. My youngest daughter, Kayla, came with me for the journey, and
Okay.
we had a really beautiful time. It wasn't the event that I dreamed it would be. However, it was probably my proudest moment.
Excellent. So how did the actual racing work out for you?
So look, I have a long story that I will try my best to cut short, okay?
Yep, you go for it.
Can't remember when we last spoke, what time of the year that was. However, in June I got COVID,
Right.
and I've got an autoimmune disease that whenever I pick up anything like that, it takes me a lot longer to recover than the average person would.
Okay.
And so I was floored for a couple of weeks, and my respiratory system was knackered for longer than it should have been, and I missed out on about 5 weeks of training.
Right.
And I came back in to train after those 5 weeks, and being the impetuous, overzealous, easily excitable human being that I am, I went to the track and I had forgotten that I had not trained for the guts of 5.5 weeks and was returning after being sick and tried to do more than my body was able for, and I tore my hamstring.
Oh, lovely.
Yes, and I did it good and proper. And so I had to rest, and I rested it for a couple of weeks, and I thought, I wonder. And I had been working along with someone that most people in the kind of Tyrone area will be very familiar with, Terry Porter. Terry sponsored me, and he put me on his table, and he rubbed, and he did everything that he could to get me in some kind of a shape. And my track club were running a 4x4 relay at the Irish Championships, and this was on the 5th of August. Or 6th of August, whatever that weekend was, first weekend in August anyway. And I hadn't ran since I tore my hamstring, and I thought there's a glimmer of hope that I could go and run a leg of the relay for my team. I
Okay.
didn't enter any individual events. Let me rephrase that. I had entered the individual events. I didn't run any of them, and I turned up for the relay. Backstory to that is that the day before my uncle died, and my uncle was like a brother to me, and I was a wee bit belligerent, and I was like, no, I'm running, and that's just it. And it didn't matter what anybody else said. You couldn't talk to me. There was no talking to me. As
Okay.
far as I was concerned, I was going to run for my team, and I was going to take a chance, and I went and I ran, and I did a very, very short warm-up, and I thought, okay, I can get round this. And so I ran 200, and I ran the last leg of the relay, and we were in first place, and I ran 200 meters. And as soon as the change in body position came after the first bend, I went, oh no, at 100 meters. And then as I was going down the back straight, I thought, oh no, it's okay, you're going to get round. And I got to 200 meters, and as soon as that change in body position to take the second bend happened, I tore my hamstring again.
Oh God. Right. Okay.
And so this is the start of August, and bearing in mind that I'm a couple of weeks away from representing Ireland at World Championship level, I thought, oh dear. So back on the bed, God bless Terry Porter. He did everything he could to get me ready. I had been putting heat packs on it 24 hours a day, in addition to going up to youth sport to get into the ice bath, the cryo spa. I have a plunge pool at home, so I was basically alternating heat and cold all the time. No stretching, just resting. And I got a call. At this point, by the way, I had pulled out of the Irish team. I'm not going to the World Championships. And I got a call from the guy who coordinates everything in terms of relays for Irish Masters Athletics. And he said, Tim, we would really love it if you could get here, and if you think you can run, then we'd love you to have you on the team. Why don't you do a little fitness test before you get on the plane, And if you basically, they said, if you can run 200 meters, we'll put you on the team.
Okay.
They were prepared to take a chance on me. So that was fine. I did the fitness test before we left. I basically had got 3 heat packs taped to my leg, and I had got 2 compression bandages on, and then compression running shorts on. I mean, if anybody had seen me, and upon reflection, looking back now, it was idiotic. But anyway, it had to be done. And if it was to anybody else, I wouldn't recommend it either. But I'll get to it, why it was important to me to do it in a moment. And so I managed 200 meters, and I managed 200 meters in my 400 meter time. And I thought, okay, happy days. I'll let the guys know. So I got to Gothumberg, and I was in a lot of pain. I did all of the things that I needed to do. And on race day, the Team Ireland, when they looked at all of the other teams, they said, Tim, you would need to be at 100% for us to be even close to medaling today.
Okay.
We know that you're not close to 100%. We're not going to medal today, so we're going to change the running order, and we don't want you to worry. We're going to get the other 3 guys to run around as quick as they can, and whenever they get the baton to you, you just run around, and you run as hard as you can without injuring yourself. Don't worry about your place. Don't worry about medaling. Just run and get the baton round, because that's all you can do. And I thought, well, that's a wee bit rubbish for the rest of the guys. And God bless all of my teammates. 3 beautiful human beings who said, Tim, we'd rather that you just got the baton round on this occasion and live to fight another day than you going out and injuring yourself, because we all know that we're going to win lots of world medals and European medals together. So let's just get you around, get you home, keep you safe, get you wrapped up, and we'll live to fight another day. And so basically, that's what happened. Mm-hmm. We got the baton round, and there was 2 heats, 15 teams. Our heat, for some strange reason, it shouldn't have been, but it seemed to be a little bit slower than the first one. And when the baton was passed to me, we were in 2nd place. And when I crossed the finishing line, we were in 3rd place. Okay. And there was a guy who passed me, Canadian guy, who passed me with just after I had run about 50 meters, and it took every ounce of my resilience and self-control and strength not to go after him. Mm-hmm. But if I hadn't went after him, I might have come home injured. I might not have. We'll never know. But we had already pre-agreed that I wasn't going to chase anyone that passed me, and I was just going to get the baton round. And so it was a very funny experience in the sense of I wasn't very competitive in terms of our placing in the world. We were 7th, the 7th team in the world out of all of those seats. So running with 1.5 legs, we came 7th in the world, and that's a tremendous thing to be able to say.
That's fantastic. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as you say, when you're not firing on all cylinders, even more kudos.
Aye. So it was a really thing, but I had kind of made this decision in my head. I'm sure I talked about this the last time that we talked on the podcast, that for the last number of years I've been stop starting, and I've been getting to a place in fitness, and something might happen in life, or something might happen in work, or something might happen with my body physically, and it kind of derails the forward momentum. And every time that has happened since 2016, every year something like that has happened, and then I've kind of just said, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore, and I've given up, and I've decided that's it, I'm retired, and I've retired 8 times in the last 8 years. Yeah. And then I won't train for maybe 4, 5, 6 months. And then that wee itch and that wee kind of thing will come back, and it'll eat away at me. And I kind of felt that if I hadn't have gone to Gothumberg, and if I hadn't have ran, or at least made myself available to run, then I probably would be sitting today telling you that I'm retired.
Yes.
Whereas because I was able to get to the start line, I was able to finish a race, and I was able to work through all of that performance anxiety and actually forget about it because it didn't matter. And there I was, represented Ireland at the World Championships with 1.5 legs, and it's kind of encouraged me to keep going. It's inspired me that there's lots more to give. You know, we still came 7th with me running with 1.5 legs, which tells me that as a team alone, we've got a lot to give. There's potential there. And so I'm committed to continuing and pursuing the process. And so that was the beautiful thing that came out of it. You know, it was probably the worst 400-meter race in terms of time that I will ever run in my life. However, for me, probably my proudest moment, because I had every reason to give up. Like in the last 6 weeks, we've had 3 family bereavements.
Okay, that's a
So
lot
there's
to take
a
on.
lot of grief, a lot of emotional stuff going on. Physically, I've gone from COVID to pulling my hamstring. Sorry, not pulling my hamstring, tearing my hamstring twice.
Yeah.
And yet I still managed to get to Gothumberg, make the start line, cross the finishing line, and, you know, come home with a top 10 finish at world level. Like, that's elite in and of itself. So much to be encouraged about. But it was not the race that I dreamed of. It wasn't the outcome that when I was dreaming, you know, months ago about going, that I had hoped it to be. But you'll remember me, hopefully you'll remember me saying this, and hopefully some of your listeners will remember me saying this, is that, you know, we don't allow the cherry on the cake to determine the result of the cake.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, everything else, I did the best that I could to get myself to where I was. And just because we didn't come home with a medal doesn't mean that I can't be proud of the performance. I can't be proud of the achievement. And actually, you know, that one moment in time should not have the power to determine what I've thought about the last 12 months. And as from a holistic perspective, as a human being who's a father, a husband, an athlete, and obviously a pastor, and all of those things, that this year's been a tremendous success.
It absolutely has, Tim. And what I'm picking up on it, and want to just feed back and reflect back to you is the positives that you're going to be able to take moving forward from this year, and overcoming all those obstacles that on any day, any one of those would have been enough to throw that proverbial spanner into the works and to derail your dreams. And the dream that you talked about, your dream race didn't happen, but it's really your dream's just been paused. The dream isn't over, you know? Whereas
Yeah.
before, you might have maybe thought about retiring, you might have thrown the towel in, you might have derailed yourself.
Yeah.
So there's a strength and resilience and a new determination that I'm picking up on moving
Oh,
forward. So
yeah. I'm
it's a dot,
hungry.
dot, dot.
Yeah, no, I'm hungry. I'm hungry I'm hungry to see what I can get out of myself. And it's not even, you know, it's not even about the medals anymore now. I'm just hungry to see what I can get out of myself. I've always said I never believed that I had scratched my own potential. And, you know, I've won stuff, but even in the winning of the stuff, I'm not sure if I ever scratched my potential. So I'm kind of in the pursuit of achieving potential. And if running, like the world record for the M50, 800 meters, is currently sitting at 158. And I don't know if I'll ever run 158, but if I was to run 158 and come fifth, that would be a tremendous achievement. You know, or if I
Absolutely.
was to run 2:01 and win a race, like, which is better, you know, and kind
Yeah.
of, you know what I'm saying? So I'm kind
Yeah.
of in that place where I'm like, I want to see where I can take myself in this. And if I can run a 158, brilliant. If I can run a 2:01, brilliant. But, you know, whatever it is that I run, that will be wonderful over 800 meters. But I got to be happy with it, you know, and understand that I'm giving my best. I don't think I've ever gone into a race and gave my best to date. a lot of the races that I've run and won, I was coached to win them, not to race them. And so like any Irish championship that I won, any British championship that I won, I was always sit off the shoulder of the leader, and then with 150 meters to go, sprint and you'll beat them.
Yeah, empty
So
the
I'm not
tank.
really, so I'm not sure I've ever actually tested my body to see how quickly I can cover the distance, and I kind of feel like
So
that's exciting me.
it is exciting. It absolutely is exciting. I'm excited for you. Just
Yeah,
even vibing off you, like, and I know
yeah,
we're doing this remotely, but just
aye,
picking it up from you, we can see each other on the screen and that, but
yeah,
there's a certain anticipation and excitement and
yeah, and
enthusiasm that's moving
aye,
forward.
yeah, and the thing is, if 2:05 was my best, then that's my best.
There's a nice fresh feeling of that there's no kind of shackles in the
Yeah.
way now. There's no expectation. It's just a let's see what,
Hmm.
because it's maybe an element that's unknown and untapped. It has to be allowed to happen organically without
Yeah.
kind of trying to anticipate or preempt, and just see where you go.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Aye.
That's cool.
So, yeah, I enjoyed, like, I went and did a health session yesterday, and it was the first time that I had felt free running in a very, very long time, and it
Brilliant.
was really, really beautiful. I was on the hill, for anyone who's in Umber, they'll know it, over by the meat factory, and
Oh yes.
I was floating up it.
Hmm.
And I just felt free, and I kind of was like, oh yeah, I remember what this feels like, because there was a time when it did feel like that. And I was chatting to someone else about this a couple of days ago, because I'm like a different person, and it's really beautiful. But I was chatting to somebody about this the other day. I've allowed, because it's 8 years now since I spat me dummy out, basically, whenever I didn't win that gold medal at the World Championships. It's been 8 years. And I've allowed 11 hundredths of a second to rob me of 8 years of joy.
Hmm.
And I decided the other day, and I was like, I refuse. I absolutely refuse to give that 11 hundredths of a second any more power in my life or over my life. It's robbed me of the joy of running for 8 years. Like, you see, running around that track and knowing that I was running not just for my country and not just for my teammates, but having my daughter in the stand, and just going, do you know what? She doesn't care where we finish. She
No.
couldn't care less. Obviously, she'd be delighted if we won, but she actually doesn't care. She's here. She's in Gothumberg. Her daddy is representing Ireland, and she's as proud as punch.
Yep.
When I came home from the trip with her, I still had to pick up the dog poo in the back garden. And if I
Yep.
had have, right, and if I had have come home with a gold medal, I still would have had to pick up the dog poo. Nothing
Yeah.
changes. You know what I mean?
That's right.
But
Yeah.
yet, for me, for so long, in this kind of, in the build up to 2016, I'm almost fed up talking about it now, but it's important that I do. In the build up to 2016, nothing else mattered, and everything else suffered.
Yeah.
The flip side of this experience at a World Championships and coming home is that everything matters.
Yes.
If that
Absolutely.
makes sense, yeah.
It
Like,
does.
I'm a disciple, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a communicator, I'm an athlete, in that order. Whereas before, everything, it was the other way around, and everything suffered. And what I've learned and what I've discovered is that if I get my relationships right, obviously as a pastor, I'm going to talk about my relationship with God. If I have my marriage right, if I have my parenting right, and if I have my work life right in balance, it automatically makes me a better runner.
It sure does. And I would love to see your future story if we go back to the future again,
Mm-hmm.
potentially. I
Yeah.
would love to see 11 hundredths of a second faster than the world. What about that? To bring the whole
Deal.
story,
That's
you
a
beat the
deal.
world record by 11 hundredths of a second and put it
Well,
all to bed.
yes. I will pursue that. However, I'm not 50 for another year. But I have a couple of targets. I'm not going to say them out loud,
No,
but I have a couple of targets for this side of Christmas, at kind of national level. The indoor season kicks off in a month or two, so we're gonna pursue a couple of targets in that. Then next year in October, the Global Championship for Masters is in Madeira,
lovely.
Portuguese island. So we've already agreed that as a family that I'm going to make myself available and hopefully be fit enough and healthy enough and fast enough to be selected, and then we as a family we're all going to go together,
Oh, lovely.
all six of us. So that's going to be great. So the adult children are going to come back holidaying with their parents again, and we're going to head out and we're going to make a family event. So I think that those are the things that I'm pursuing now. It's the memories with family, regardless of performance.
Mm-hmm. And that takes a
Uh,
shed load of the pressure off too, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Like, honestly, they don't care.
No.
They really don't. The only person that cares is me. And I'm realizing now that there's so much more to me as a human being than whether or not I win a world championship medal. Like, I can walk up the high street in Oma on any given day and probably meet 10 to 15 people that I can stand and have a chat with, that trust me with stories that are with things that are going on in their lives, high fives and hellos and all of those things, and that's those are the constants. And I think it's important what I've realized. And again, I was chatting about this to someone else the other day on a different interview, is that when we invest into the constants, then everything else becomes secondary. And so the constants are, family, so important. Eating, sleeping. These are the things that I'm now describing as the cake. The constants, the eating, the sleeping, the strength training, the turning up to the track, on the days that you don't want to, or if it's the treadmill or the bike or the pool or whatever it is that you're choosing to do. Build into those through your habits, and because they're more important than the
Yeah.
event, because the events come and go. Events aren't constant. You might, if you're an Ironman, for example, you might be lucky and do one a year, two a year if you're like insane.
Yeah. I
And I
know a
say
few of
that.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, and I say that in love and jest, or marathons. If you're a marathon runner, you can only actually, in terms of the event itself, healthily do, a limited number of those annually. There's so many, like, all of these things are there's limitations to them. Whereas the things that are always there are, there are families, it's our work colleagues, and then it's the healthy habits, the eating, the sleeping, the hydration, the strength training, the stretching, the mobility stuff, and obviously then whatever your discipline or disciplines are, making sure that you invest into those, and then everything else just flows from that and takes care of itself. So it's a
No,
nice
that's
place to
great.
be.
It sounds like you've found a nice version of Tim Shiels, and you're wearing him with great pride at the minute.
Yeah. So, do you
And
know?
that's lovely.
Yeah. Do you know what
Uh,
it is? I'm at peace with Tim.
cool.
Yeah. It's
That is
lovely.
cool.
It's lovely. So yeah.
Tim, thank you very much for coming back onto the show and giving us that update. And I just want to wish you all the very best now for a very successful and injury-free winter.
Please
Um,
God. Yeah.
Hopefully, all your indoor goals will come and go, and you'll get through them unscathed. And we shall look towards sampling some Madeira cake.
Yes,
Boom,
indeed.
next summer.
Class, I love it. Very good. Hey, thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Take care.
God bless. Bye-bye.
All right, Barney, good to see you again, and welcome back to the future, as it were. You're the youngest time traveller of the four.
I have a few grey hairs here, but it's good to be the youngest for once.
You're like the Barney McFly of this group.
Yeah.
Barney, the last time we spoke, you were talking about your plans to go to the 70.3 in France. So I'm just interested to find out how you got on in that event.
So the race went all right in terms of, the swim went well. I swam around just under 30 minutes. That was about what I was thinking. And then onto the bike, I went really well for the first half of the bike. But what I really learned from was I really neglected my knowledge of the descent. So I was actually in a really good position at basically all the climbing sections of the bike. But what I really lost, I just kept getting passed by French guys or local guys who knew the descent. And obviously it was my first time riding the course. So I feel I lost a lot of time. I actually got to the climb at a good position, but where I really would have, I think I lost, I could say 5 to 10 minutes just because I didn't know the descent. And there were some of these corners that if you got it wrong, you were ending up in a cliff. Like it was not to be messed about. And I knew my wife and daughter was at the transition waiting for me. So if I could go back, I suppose, what did I learn from it? I would say that coming from a really flat country and then having a very technical descent was a tough challenge, but I still glad I went and did the race because it was such a good course. But in terms of performance wise, if you're ever doing a really hilly course, it really pays to know it like really well. And then so I got back into transition, and I still felt I lost a bit of time, but I started running then, and my back just seized up. And this sounds like a lot of excuses, but basically now hindsight is a wonderful thing, but it always comes a bit too late. So basically, I live in Doha. All of my training was done on basically, I think it's the second flattest country in the world. So I never did any climbing. So I think my back was just, I was basically using different muscles and using different muscle groups that maybe I wasn't using so much in the build up to training. So then on the run, it was like would have patches of really good running. I was running 3:45 per kilometre, feeling really good, and then my back would sort of tighten up, and then I'd be nearly slowing way down. So I think I ended up running a 1:27.5, but usually I'd be about closer to 1:20s or under. That would be what I would be aiming for. So it was a real struggle, but not to be lost. It was a part of a sort of family holiday, and afterwards we had a good trip. But so I suppose if any of our listeners are sort of learning from, even you have some mistakes in a race, I suppose the thing would be, if I could go back in time, what I'd do differently would be, these apps, I think they're called Full Gas. You can actually ride the course beforehand.
Yeah,
I would really have done my homework just to know the climbs, and even visually, if you knew the descent a little bit more, because I couldn't travel any earlier to actually ride the course. And then also what I think about what I'm trying to do to sort of stop the whole back seizing up thing is something I would have neglected, and I think endurance athletes always do this, is we don't really do much strength and conditioning. So that is now, since that race, I've now been doing twice a week gym sessions just to try and stop it. So if it happens in my next race, at least I've done something to try and, stop it happening again. So I suppose those are the lessons I would have learned from that race, is that learn the course, and then I'm going to I'm getting a bit older now. I need to be doing my strength and conditioning. So yeah, not all lost. And now I'm currently training towards another Ironman locally here in Oman. Well, it's local enough. In Salalah, but the challenge now will be it's a really hot and humid race. So now I have to sort of change my tact for that to do well there, hopefully. So that's me update, I suppose. So yeah, some lessons learned.
You'll be easy enough for you to be able to train for that local one then, I imagine. Or are you still the stranger in a strange land in the sense that you still haven't got used to that sort of brutal heat?
You're right. That's why I have it. Literally, I can do heat training as soon as I leave my door. So basically, I enjoy the sort of analytical thing, and recently I've invested in one of those core body sensors. So basically, it tells you basically what your core body temperature is. You wear it just with your heart rate monitor, and basically what it's been telling me is, although I'm training in the heat, apparently to stress your thermoregulatory system, you have to get your temperature up to 38.5. So it's quite hard. Like it'd be very hard to do in Ireland unless you have the heating on and maybe cycling in a wetsuit or something. To actually get your core. So I've been training to try and get my body adapted to very hot conditions. So then hopefully when it comes to the race, it should be quite acclimatized to it. So that's what I've been playing around with this stuff. I love all this stuff and just learning the different things about the body and stuff. So I might have thought previously until I got this sensor that maybe that I was doing heat training, but now I'm starting to realize that it actually takes quite a bit of work for me to get my body temperature up to that sort of stressful temperature. But what I've also learned from living on this side of the world is it's actually humidity that is the biggest factor, and it's not actually the heat. So if it's quite hot outside, for example, it could be up to 38 out where I live, but the humidity could be really low. I could still have a good run, even though it's very hot. It's whenever you're very humid and your body can't actually sweat to cool down because there's so much moisture in the air. That's when athletes really struggle. So that's sort of supposed to something I've learned.
I know you love all that sort of technical stuff and the science stuff. I'm wondering what technical and scientific research you're implementing with regards to your new strength and conditioning work, just off the back of your experience in Nice. Are you doing anything specific? Is it sort of deadlifts and squats?
Yeah, a lot of good. So I actually have a friend who's a strength and conditioning coach, and I got a lot of sort of insights of him. So I've been working up to, basically I'd like to get myself up to a point where I'm able to, it's not a lot for any of these weightlifters, but say 1.5 times my body weight. That's what I'm trying to get my back squat up to, my deadlift up to, just as a target to aim for, and then I try and maintain that throughout the season. So that's sort of one thing he's sort of been trying to work with me, is just to get to that target and then sort of maintain that level of strength. But something that was really good was, if we think of running, cycling and swimming, we're always pushing off or pulling off one leg. So he has me doing a lot of like split squats or like one leg balance exercises. So there's kind of, I think that makes it a bit more sport specific for us, because if you think of running, you're either landing on one leg and then pushing off with the other. So maybe doing some of those, like I just do like a split squat, or you get a box and you step up with a plate and then hold the balance for a little while. That sort of stuff, I call them box ups, just sort of stuff like that, along with the heavier lifts, just to try and strengthen me back up a bit more, if that is the issue that happened. And then also leading into that, trying to work out what went wrong in these. I was doing a lot of my turbo sessions on the road bike, whereas I should have been maybe getting my body to the, I would ride my TT bike once a week outdoors, but it wasn't enough maybe to get me back used to that position, because I probably have quite an aggressive training position. So it's hard to pinpoint what caused it, but if I try and fix what I think went wrong, I should hopefully improve on the next race, hopefully.
It's interesting how the back got impacted on, and it's probably coming from, or may have been coming from, your glutes or your hamstrings, just because of that extra exertion that they were being put under on the hills, the demand of the inclines.
Yeah, that's so that would be part of my sort of warm up. Would be some glute band work. You do the sidewalks with the bands. That's how I'd sort of warm up for my gym work. But yeah, I would have weak glutes from previous. I've only ever been injured once, and it was one of my glutes just went. So yeah, it's kind of strengthening all those areas up. It's all linked to the back, but I think what caused it realistically was just the amount of climbing I was doing. And I've come from never climbing at all to doing a lot in one hour. So then I had really good power on the bike for the climb, and probably my best ever 90-minute power. And then my body didn't cooperate on the run.
So there was no hiccups for you then in the swim at all? Your swim went perfect, I suppose, or as good as it could?
Yeah, the swim was fairly just standard enough time, what I would usually do. A swim's actually become something I'm fairly consistent with. It's the bike and run that can become, when it becomes a more difficult course, especially, it's hard to run a really good half marathon after a very difficult bike. I've done flatter races before and I've ran really well off it. So that's an extra challenge. You have to be really strong on the bike to still be able to run well. Mm-hmm. If you've had a very variable, a flat bike, you're basically holding the same power the whole time. So it's very constant, but it's not as, your body doesn't have to recover from these big surges up a climb and then come back down again. So it's just, there's all stuff to learn. I don't really ever get too annoyed. Like, the race didn't go to plan, but I always just maybe have a day or two where I'm a bit annoyed about it, but then I'm usually getting the credit card out to enter another one. It keeps me going. I think it was only a few days later I entered this next race. But yeah, I think if you got too down about them, you wouldn't stick at the sport for very long, because there's always good days and bad days. You're always chasing that good day.
No, that's superb. And as you say, there's no race that's the same. Even the same race, going back to it year after year is different.
Yeah, you could come back, and you could come back some years in the wind, be really tough, and then makes the bike far harder. It's just the way it is. That's why I don't really believe in a bit off topic, but I don't really believe in PBs. With triathlon, because you can have an Ironman PB, but the course could be so different from year to year that it's not even really comparable. And sometimes no one ever likes to talk about this. Half Ironman courses are different distances. You'll have a bike that's there's a race in Poland that his bike's 3 kilometers short. Everyone gets a PB there, but it's still half. There's no other sport where you'd say it's a 4K run, but it's a 5K PB.
Yes, I know what you mean. Yeah,
it's because the race is so large that it encompasses closing roads. It's not just like a 5K race in the road. You have to there's so much logistics to the bike course. That's why some of these courses become sometimes longer, sometimes shorter.
It reminds me of last year, actually. I had a real good season last year because obviously I was training for the Ironman in Ireland, and I had done a large block of training, so I was consistently out, sort of 4 or 5 days a week, and it was getting me good results in my sprint races, and I was getting well under 120, which was really, really good for me on a sprint. And then when I come round to doing the sprint at Mullaghmore, I got 121, and I was raging. I was like, oh shit, I wanted to get under 120. But then I looked back at the thing, and the swim was a wee bit longer than it should have been for a start. But then the logistics from getting out of the water, up the ramp, across, and then into transition. So the length of time that you get from the swim exit going into transition, those minutes all add up very, very quickly in the sprint.
Nice was nearly it felt like nearly 800 meters running with me. It felt like I was running with my bike forever, because there was 2 races going on. There was the full Ironman and the half Ironman in the one day. So there was thousands of bikes. So you had to run all the way down. So it seemed that's adding up time to races as well. So I don't ever get too bogged down to about PBs and stuff. It's all about how well you did on the day compared to everyone else is the more realistic way of looking at your performance.
Good stuff. Barney, thanks very much, for coming back onto the podcast and giving us that.
No problem. Hopefully the next Back to Future one, I'm saying it went really well in Oman.
Well, if we do a Back to the Future 2 and Barney McCullagh joins us again, then he'll be a new and improved, fitter, stronger, with a set of glutes that could crack a walnut.
Big glutes, and I'll be back flying. That sounds good. Perfect. Thank you so much. All the best.
Cheers, Barney.